Okay, and welcome to this session. We're going to talk about modern test automation from cloud to mainframe. We're going to be two presenters today. There's Sujay Solomon from our DevOps Broadcom mainframe team, and myself, Keith Puzey, who's a DevOps architect. And through this session, we're going to cover, to start with, the testing challenges. So those challenges that you're all aware of. We're going to drill into things like what are the current trends around test automation, and then how we have these solutions that can enable you to improve your test automation story. We'll then move on to some of the more complexities when it comes to automating in an enterprise, and walk on and how that will benefit you. And we'll end on kind of some getting started, how you can get involved in our platform. So when we look at the digital transformations, testing is a very large impediment these days to these transformation programs. And when you're testing, a lot of the time is spent on gathering those requirements, understanding what's being developed, and then also looking at how you can then test that efficiently. And obviously testing is a time. It takes time to test. And this affects the time it takes to actually deliver applications. And what we found is, still today, 70% of testing is still manual. And enterprises they still have COEs, and those COEs tend to be quite risk averse. So their goal is to ensure that good quality software is released. But also we have this impediment of we need to speed up. So we're seeing enterprises moving towards a shift left. So moving some of this testing to the development teams. And this causes kind of balancing act where we have our agile teams. Their goal is to deploy quickly. They're generally, because they're developers, they tend to use their own tools, which tend to favor things that they've used in the past. So you tend to find that open source frameworks are used a lot in agile teams. And this is very efficient for the teams to actually develop tests quickly. But what you find is the tools aren't developed for enterprise scale, full scale testing. So they're designed to be used by developers on their environments when they're actually developing on their machines. But when we look at the COEs, they tend to have the more enterprise scale tools for their testing, and they tend to be very, very risk averse. Now their goal is quality. They want to make sure that whatever goes out the door is the best quality that can be delivered. And we have this balancing act here of we need to be delivering quickly, but also we need to be always bear in mind that the risk that velocity doesn't always mean good things. They can be very quick deploying bad software. We need to balance this velocity and risk. There's also other test automation impediments that we need to look at as well. So if we look at some of the other challenges we have these days with test automation, it's the testing bottlenecks. Traditional testing used to be this time box event. We would go for the waterfall, we'd get to a testing phase, and we'd then do our testing. We spend a lot of time in that area testing. We need to kind of improve how we can do testing. So speed up that process, but keep the quality. And what we also see is there's the delays in getting access to environments. Enterprise tools are complex. Generally, they're made up of lots of different systems. And those systems are different endpoints, APIs. You need data to test them. And for a team to be effective, they need to get this on demand. They need to be able to quickly access environments, quickly access test data. And this kind of moves to the engineering shifting left. How can we enable engineering teams? And we say enable, give them the tools that they need to actually do this efficiently. And those tools need to be things that, one, the engineers are comfortable using, but also are things that the COE can also enable them with. And our last point is, we need to get away from just doing performance testing. And we need to move on to performance engineering. So designing products early on, considering how they will perform in production, and also test early. So very early in the cycle, we start doing performance testing, not just functional testing. And all of these impediments affect teams today. Now, if we look at some of the trends, These are some of the trends we're seeing in test automation. And the first one is this blending of Agile and DevOps. And what we mean by this is, Agile teams are looking at, they take the requirements, they convert those into stories, they then drive that to deliver product. But they need to also consider the ops side. So the implementation, the maintenance, the ongoing support. And we're now seeing this blending where the DevOps teams are now more focused on not just delivering the functionality the Agile teams are working on, but also how that will be maintained and supported in the whole framework, from engineering all the way through to production. And that kind of leads into, as I was saying before, about the provisioning of these test environments and the provisioning of this test data. We're seeing more organizations that are looking at how can they speed up the delivery of these environments and this data to teams on demand. So Agile teams aren't waiting for environments to become available and slowing down their delivery cycles. And the third bullet point here is, we need to be testing the APIs and the microservices. Modern architectures are made up of many services within an application. So instead of just testing the UIs, we need to be testing those APIs to ensure, one, they're performant, not just that they're working, that they're performing the way that, as this scales, they're going to work correctly, as well as the fact that they're functionally going to work. So we need to automate that. And the final point we mentioned in the previous slide is this shift towards performance engineering. So looking at the product from the ground up, understanding where bottlenecks may be in performance, and making sure that